in attendance today, you're largely unaware of the CARES program. As such, one of our key objectives is to introduce you to the CARES program, what it entails, and why the Attorney General's office is engaged in this initiative. We want to ensure that you have an awareness of the scope of the program, how it will benefit you, and the debt collection activities carried out by the AGO on your behalf. In addition, we will introduce you to the program team of highly skilled and experienced professionals that we've assembled to ensure a successful implementation. Last but surely not least, we want to make you aware of the implementation timeline and the opportunities you will have to partner with us in this journey. Today's sessions are being recorded to allow us to share the kickoff materials with you at a later date. In addition, while the QA panel is available, we ask that attendees send any questions you have regarding the CARES program to our general mailbox at agocares@ohioago.gov. However, if there is a critical question regarding the presentation logistics, please feel free to use the QA panel. It is our intent that the recorded session and any questions and answers that we receive will be posted to the CARES program website at a later date. At the conclusion of the stakeholder kickoff, scheduled to complete no later than 2:30 p.m., we will take a 5-minute break before beginning the client breakout session. The client breakout session will be focusing on Rollout 1, and attendees will be provided more details around the implementation strategy, key dates that we will be engaging with you. While the breakout is focused on clients in Rollout 1, all attendees are welcome to attend the breakout session. Additionally, there will be breakout sessions at a later date specific to the needs of the collections enforcement staff and our special counsel and third-party vendor partners. Our agenda for today will cover these topics: the CARES program introduction. We'll provide you with the CARES program status, the implementation approach and strategy, our communication strategy as we enter implementation, and then opportunities for you to partner with us for a successful implementation. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Lucas Ward, our section chief.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to start by talking through what we just accomplished and giving just a huge thank you to everybody on the call who played some part in this, which you all did. So what we accomplished is that we just beat our goal and beat our record. We just not only beat it, we knocked it out of the park. So thank you to everybody. I mean, everybody on this call played some part in that. I know we've got some of our external collection vendors. I know we've got clients here for certifying the debt, getting it to you, and of course, getting the citizens of the state of Ohio right, solving their problems and getting the money recovered. So thank you to everybody. Just quick shouts out to the collectors. You guys are awesome. Obviously, you guys always get shouts out, but the other teams, the unsung heroes, legal, accounting, data entry, the regionals, everybody that plays some piece in this, our special counsel and TPV, both the special counsel TPVs themselves, but also the support staff. So just thank you. That was just a wonderful accomplishment and something that we hope to continue, and we hope to be able to continue and hopefully even accelerate what we can do as we roll into this new system, which we're very, very excited about. So I think this is going to be a wonderful opportunity. We really appreciate you guys joining us today, and then helping us get through our goals and getting the system rolled out. And I think that we can start seeing numbers like that again and again and again as part of the ordinary course. So with that, I'm going to hand the baton over to David Montgomery, our program lead, and he is going to give you guys the introduction on the CARES system. So David, take it away.
Thank you, Lucas. I'm excited to be here today to share with you more about what's going on with the CARES program and where we're headed. Next slide, please. Some of the things that we've actually learned over the course of time are being presented here from the work that we've done from before, transitioning from an integrator to professional services. That's something that we're doing different this time that's going to ensure the success of this implementation. Building a self-supportive model, our goal and our strategy is to be self-supportive of the new care system for our implementation. In the past, we've always relied on vendors, contractors to support us going forward. We've also created an organizational change management strategy. We engaged Deloitte Consulting to help us drive transparency, communicate, and ensure the things that may impact or improve our processes are being addressed. We've also built business and IT transformation strategies with experienced leaders. We're bringing in leaders that have done this before in different realms and in state government to offset those risks. And the role I'm playing is leading the Attorney General CARES Program Office. We have experienced sponsors such as Lucas Ward, you just heard from. We have a dedicated trainer role, and we've contracted some experienced Cubs data experts. These are things that we may not have done in the past that we believe we're investing in now. They're going to make a difference as we move forward. What's driving CARES? Lots of things are driving CARES. Obviously, we have more than 400 unique clients. That's a big deal. We have collectively, these clients are owed more than $63 billion. That's a lot of money. You just heard what Lucas presented is what we collect. And we had a record year this past fiscal year. Congratulations, all you guys. But there's more we can collect. There's more we can do. And our reliance on the 20-plus-year-old antiquated system, which a lot of people run into, but it's time to move forward and upgrade it. We believe there's a much more improvement in collections that we can gain from making this investment. Next slide. What is CARES? It's a wholesale modernization of our collections business, and it's a state-of-the-art collection system. As you can see, there's many spigots on this wheel between communication with our stakeholders, engaging, the operational support, the automation of manual processes. That's, I think many of you have told us that you're looking forward to. We need to do the integration of our systems and best practices. One of the things you'll find is we're bringing in industry best practices. The debt manager product that we're implementing brings it as well, and it's going to help us improve our collections processes. Introduction of new technologies, and it's also the integration of supporting applications. Many of you guys have applications that we interact with. There's interaction of applications inside the Attorney General's office. Our goal is to tie all those together and make them all much more efficient. Next slide. And CARES priorities. Obviously, people, processes, and technology are critical as we move forward. One without the other will not enable this process or the system to work. Next slide. Well, that's it about the CARES program as priorities and objectives. But I feel honored to be able to share with you today who are the people behind this team and what are their roles. Next slide. The organizational structure. Looks like a busy chart, but there's a lot of people engaged. Across the left, we have an executive steering committee that we've set up, and I'll speak to those members in a few minutes. To the right is a representation of many of you on this phone. We have key stakeholders. We have reached client representatives from all the different external parties, from all the different agencies that are on the call today. So even if you're not engaged, there's a representative in your respective area that is a key stakeholder representing your area. We have indebted party representatives, and we've also taken time to identify change agents inside of the agency that are helping promote change that will be ensuring and looking oversight of the program team that's designing and implementing this, that is representing of the true work that you guys do. And they will be promoting those improvements and ensuring that the delivery team doesn't go off track. Now in the middle is the program organization. You'll see me, David Montgomery, playing program management lead. I have an exceptional support team of project management. You see Rudy Rodriguez, project manager for Attorney General's office, comes highly experienced in state government implementations, including some here in Ohio. We have Rob Chinati from CNR Software, project manager of the product that we're implementing. And Robert Holtzman from CNR Software, program manager of the debt manager product we're implementing. And Cassie Ligero, our Deloitte project manager, who's helping lead the organizational change management portion of this program. In the middle, you heard from Herschel Elkins. He's our business transformation lead. Herschel has a strong team of leaders as well, still representing all the respective parties that are implementing this program. You'll see Cassie again as the organizational change management lead, and Lori Gutshaw, who's with CNR Software, a lead functional consultant that really understands and has worked on multiple implementations around the country implementing the solution. Lucas Ward, who you heard of, section chief and also sponsor, and Bill Cahill, who's also a co-sponsor, are both ensuring the business transformation, business policies are strategized and implemented. We have Ann Andrews from CNR Software, the project lead. Ann has extensive experience as well implementing collection systems around the country. We have Marissa Smith, project manager for the Attorney General's office, who has extensive collections experience here in the state of Ohio with the Attorney General's office. And we have Roy Robinson, who is our business analyst lead, who has extensive experience with not just collections, but also representing one of our external clients from the past, from the taxation area. The bottom portion of the screen, Stephen Heaney is leading our IT transformation, and again, he has a strong team. Steve is supported by Joe Costin of the Attorney General's office. Joe is our Chief Information Security Officer. He's also supported by Greg Francis, the Attorney General Director of Application Development, and Rodney Flesher, Director of Infrastructure Support for Attorney General's office. And we also have CNR Software representatives helping in the IT transformation and implementing the solution. Ann Andrews, you heard earlier, is on both teams. She's the overall project lead for CNR Software. And Chris Hausman, he's the CNR Software lead technical consultant. And we also refer to him as our architect. Next slide. Pleased to introduce to you our Executive Steering Committee members that you saw on the left on the prior slide. The team has been set in place for a specific purpose, and that's to ensure we're driving toward those strategic objectives that have been laid out and meant to be representative of all the functioning areas of a collection system. We have Ben Myerson, who is our executive sponsor, Lucas Ward, business sponsor, Bill Cahill, assistant business sponsor, Joseph Rust, our organizational change management sponsor, Mark Edwards, our IT sponsor, Cynthia Dungy, our legal sponsor, Herschel Elkins, client sponsor, Sean Buskin, outside counsel sponsor, and Christopher Stevens, our third-party vendor special counsel sponsor. Next slide, please. I would like to turn this over to Herschel Elkins, who will introduce to you our business transformation team.
All right, thank you, David. Once again, my name is Herschel Elkins. I'm the business transformation lead for the CARES program. Lucas Ward and Bill Cahill, as David has explained, provide guidance and oversight as the business sponsors and the policy sponsors for the program. Additionally, we're supported by Roy Robinson and Marissa Smith, who bring a wealth of knowledge around the collections activities and program management overall as related to business transformation. In addition, our subject matter experts who possess expert knowledge of business and system processes within their respective areas provide critical insight, direction, and guidance as transformative changes are being discussed and will eventually be implemented. Our SME team is comprised of Steve Sherrod, who's the Deputy Director of Third-Party Vendors, Trish Lazick, who's our Director of Bankruptcy and Legal Support, Andrew Littlefield, the Deputy Director of Resolution, James Cito, Director of Non-Legal Operations, Sharnae Jennings, our Deputy Director for Taxation, Jennifer Zapp, our Assistant Attorney General and the Collections Manager, Susan Kowalik, our Senior AAG, Dan Tharp, who's our Deputy Director of Non-Tax, and David Bowles, our Deputy Director of Accounting. I'd like to take just a moment to talk about our strategy to business transformation and some high-level activities in the business transformation space. Our strategy is centered not only on best practices, but important lessons learned from prior implementation attempts. Our key focus is on continuous communication and collaboration with you, our clients and partners. We believe this focus provides an increased level of transparency into the program, allowing us to align with you on key transformative changes. Lastly, our strategy focuses on the holistic view of the collections enforcement ecosystem. Thus, we not only focus internally, but externally to ensure a smooth transition for you as our clients. So how do we tactically implement our strategy? Some of the high-level activities: we first engage with you as stakeholders and our internal change agents, as David mentioned earlier, to gain critical insight. In addition, we utilize these groups to review and provide guidance on organizational change management activities to ensure we're hitting the mark. In addition, our OCM professionals from Deloitte, whom you'll meet in a few moments, provide expertise and coordination regarding the people side of change, focusing on role changes, knowledge transfer, and training to support the implementation. Last but not least, we develop, drive, and modify communication strategies as needed to inform and gain important feedback, focusing on the benefits of change. With that, I'll hand things over to Steve Heaney to introduce the IT transformation team and strategy.
Hi, I'm Steve Heaney, the IT transformation lead and the Director of Collections Enforcement Development. The IT transformation team is made up of Rodney Fletcher, Director of Infrastructure Support, Joe Clausen, the Chief Information Security Officer, and Greg Francis, the Director of Application Development. The goal of the transformation team is to build the IT infrastructure and processes to maintain the CARES application and to be self-sufficient. The CUB system is supported by a vendor that's outside of our office. To become self-sufficient, the Attorney General's office is taking the following actions: establishing a software development team to support and make changes to the debt manager software, establishing a quality assurance team to ensure the application meets the requirements of the business. For the teams to be successful, we're implementing a quality assurance software package to track and manage business requirements. C&R Professional Services will cross-train the team members to support the debt manager software. The teams will support collections enforcement operations as needed. Next is David Doyle to talk about operational change management.
Thank you, Steve, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm very excited to be here to introduce the organizational change management team from Deloitte. And again, it's been a true honor to work alongside with the AGO from the inception of this project until now. And so very excited for the phase we're about to launch into. And so a little bit about the team. As you see, we have our 5 team members: David Doyle, Jason Carbon, myself. We lead and provide oversight to the team. But the real heart of the team and the execution is really with Cassie Leggero, Matt Scacci, and Jessica Waters, who kind of spread their wealth across operational readiness, communications, and really identifying those business readiness items that ultimately will make our stakeholders prepared and informed as we roll out the program and the solution. Next slide. We wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about the approach from an organizational change management perspective. You've heard David, Herschel highlight the role that our change agents play. And so one of the first things that we do and we focus on is really those stakeholders, excuse me, and activating that change agent network, because they're going to be the body that we rely on for information, to drive information to their organizations, but really to be a part of the project from day one. And so engaging those stakeholders and making sure that they are prepared, informed, and ready as we move through each of the phases of the project. Ultimately, that needs to be accounted for relative to system changes, right? So we're moving through a massive technology transformation. And through that, there are changes. And part of our job is to be the glue that identifies what those changes are and how does that then translate to the stakeholder, both from a roles and responsibilities, as well as a process. What is the process that you will now follow? And that really leads to the third pillar of our organizational change management approach and focus, and that's around process. Process is where technology and people come together, and making sure that those redefined business processes are as efficient and effective and ultimately meet the vision of what the AGO and stakeholder team members want to achieve with this transformation. So again, very excited to be here, excited for the team that we have working alongside of the AGO and our stakeholders. And with this, I'll hand it over to our partner, Ted London.
Thanks so much, David. And so let me introduce myself. So Ted London, I am the responsible executive from CNR Software. I bring over 25 years of experience implementing government collection systems. CNR Software is a relatively new entity. You may have heard of FICO before. When the project started, we were all with FICO, but FICO has sold off their collection software as well as 330 of my colleagues to a new entity called CNR Software, which is a great opportunity because we are going to continue to grow the product and thrive in this new entity, and we're very excited about that. For projects such as CARES, really you need three pillars in my mind. The first is application, the second is team, and the third is a plan. And let me talk about the application. So the application we are implementing, Debt Manager, is the most widely used collection system for large enterprises on the market. So for example, there is a similar organization in Maryland where they have centralized collection. They are using Debt Manager. U.S. Department of Education uses Debt Manager for the entire portfolio of default student loans, as well as major banks and other entities. So there are well over 100 large enterprises that use Debt Manager for collections. So next I want to present the team. This is absolutely a top-notch team. The average person on this team has over a decade of experience. These are people who have a long-standing history and commitment to the product and this market, and they bring that level of experience with them. They also, almost to a person, have been working on the project since day one. So they have gained a lot of knowledge about Ohio, they've gained a lot of knowledge about CARES, and they are going to be able to utilize that and bring that forward as we move into the project. I also want to commend the AGO team. AGO has absolutely committed some of their best and brightest to this project, and it really has become one cohesive team that is working together to deliver success. And so we're very excited about that. Next slide, please. And now let me talk about our plan. We have worked for almost a year now to develop a very strong plan that it absolutely reduces risk, maximizes the likelihood of success. We've implemented, and David Montgomery is going to talk about this more going forward, a phased approach. So we're not going for a big bang trying to do everything all at once. What we're trying to do is phase in the capabilities, phase in the debt types, phase in the agencies on a scheduled basis to reduce risk and allow us to maximize the likelihood of success. That's based on our best practices of over 100 implementations of the software that we have developed this plan to make sure that it flows smoothly and is successfully. we're going to use out-of-the-box software. As we went through the discovery phase, we have determined that we do not need to make any modifications to the base application. And that is a huge benefit to Ohio on multiple levels. It reduces risk because you can use the base application through a lot of configuration to meet your needs, but it also allows for upgrades. We, in fact, are going to be upgrading the application multiple times during the course of the project, so we constantly stay current. You get new functionality that we are implementing, and you get the benefit of all of those upgrades. So as you move forward, you always stay current. We're going to try to standardize many of the data exchanges. Many of the data exchanges on the Hub's legacy system are unique point-to-point interfaces. What we're trying to do is standardize those data exchanges that will reduce risk for you as agencies. It will also reduce risk for the department managing those agencies. And I could go on and on for minutes upon minutes talking about the A team and how proud I am to be working with such a great team. But in the interest of time, I'm going to pass it off to David Montgomery, where he's going to talk about where we are in the project lifecycle.
Thank you, Ted. That was a good summary of the role of CNR and how helpful and collective we have been together in getting to this point in the program. Next slide, please. Before I get into the program status, I do want to share with you a perspective of the overall solution. We often talk about cares, we talk about collections, but what is that high-level view of that collection system? This is our view of a 1,000-foot view of the new system. In the middle, you'll see Debt Manager at the top. That's the CNR software solution that Ted London was just speaking to. And in that solution, you'll see the multiple workflows that support a collections processing system that has best practices from those 100 plus implementations that we plan to adopt. There's also all the multiple letters, reports, interfaces, whether they're standard or custom, are all consumed part of this Debt Manager product. To the left shows how one accesses Debt Manager if you're an external client. There's multiple ways of providing access, such as the CARES portal. And you see in the CARES portal, you have view access, you can get the account data, you have update access, you'll have view and downloading and report access, etc. Today, many of you use portals to access our legacy system. Tomorrow, you will use portals to access, but with more features and more functionality in this that comes with this new system. Also, there's a way of having file transfers to upload information to Debt Manager for the high volumes. You see in the bottom, we've illustrated that view as well, from CARES to your system. To the right, the back door, Attorney General employees that are helping process your certifications, those debts. They actually have direct access to Debt Manager to support those workflows and the rules that come with them. And there's also supporting services. Supporting services or accounting services, obviously the financial aspect of it, offset services, and even document management. A lot of times there's legal documents, et cetera, that need to be retained that you or Attorney General office members or others need access to. But we wanted everyone to have a common view of the solution that we're seeking. Next slide, please. Now let's talk about the program. Our program, as Ted mentioned earlier, has phases. And we've set it up where there's 3 foundational phases. Discovery, which we call phase 0. Interim design, we call phase 0.5. And then implementation, which is where we are today. Our discovery phase was an intentional effort to identify pain points and confirm those quantifiable requirements. What is it that we needed to do before we launched and implemented a new solution? Phase 05, interim design. That was a preliminary step for advancing the program to get a better understanding of early design needs, preliminary design needs. We focused on third-party vendor special counsel interfaces. And we also focused on some early data mapping so that we could align the AGO team with the CNR software team to get more knowledge earlier before we implement it, but also to get a jump start on those third-party vendor and special counsel interfaces. Today, we are in phase 1 implementation. That's the kickoff we're doing today. We've just started with our very first rollout. And I will talk a little more about rollout, but our implementation phase can consume multiple rollouts. And the way we've broken down our implementation phase is we will organize it by business class, and we will phase it by business classes and rollouts as we go forward. And I'll speak more to that here in a few minutes. Next slide. But before I get into that detail, I want to give you some outcomes of that phase 0 that we've performed. We started last summer and we completed in February. Great results. On the bottom, I'll just give you a quick view. We identified 67 process improvements that we can make over what you have today in the legacy process and the legacy system. We identified 76 business process workflows that will be upgraded in the new debt manager solution. We identified 129 interfaces that need to be designed. And there are opportunities there to improve those interfaces with more effective data exchange, maybe some standardization. That is all in that 129. The number is actually greater if we didn't look at it consolidating and making it better. 231 letters need to be reproduced in the new system. And as I mentioned earlier, 7 best practices to be implemented. Those are industry best practices that are going to do only there to help us improve our collections. Next slide. Another interesting thing that we found through our discovery work, on the left, when we first started looking toward this program in August of 2019, you'll see we thought there were 35 workflows. Once we did the discovery, and we did that with CNR software and with Deloitte as part of our partnership, we now know it's not 35, we have quantifiable 88. We thought there were 12 interfaces or integrations needed. We now know we need 72. And you can see the rest of the list. So the benefit of doing discovery and spending this last year is tremendous. We can quantify what we need to do. We feel better about the holistic view, and it's positioning us to better set up the implementation strategy because we can see it all. Next slide. Interim design. I mentioned that as the phase we just completed in June. Interim design. We held workshops, design workshops, as I mentioned, around some technical configurations, meaning the product. How should we set it up? We did some workflows for special counsel and third-party vendors. Not all. We looked at roughly 5 of them. And then we did some data mapping. The results? We have an organizational hierarchy that we're looking at implementing in the debt manager product. Basically, for the product to support the multiple workflows for all of you guys, we need to set up an organizational structure for how rules work or automated and what belongs to who and how it all comes together. That's the organizational hierarchy. Make whole. Many of you are aware of make whole processing. We defined and tailored an approach for that. But actually, this I would tell you even better than that is now not going to be custom. CNR software has told us that they're going to make that part of the product. So now that will be an out-of-the-box capability. We're excited. We're excited for that direction. That will make this solution even better. And we're hats off to CNR Software for taking that on. We created 5 functional design specs for those external partner interfaces. And we did some early field level mapping from migrating from the legacy system to Debt Manager. So there was a lot done in interim design, short period of time, but it's the same kind of work that we needed to get started on implementation. Next slide, please. So what does that all mean? What's our implementation approach? What's our strategy to building and configuring this thing? Well, I'll start with saying is our approach is risk-based, as Ted London mentioned earlier, and is really designed to incrementally build the new system. And we want to build it for common functionality in a logical sequential order. And when I say common functionality, every collections process workflow has workflows, has interfaces, has letters and reports that support a specific business area. We looked across the board and said, what's common across all of them? And that's what we want to build and lay as our foundation. Those common ones we want to get built first. And we want to make sure those work before we bring all the state agencies and business classes on board. So that's what our core approach is. We call that laying the foundation. But we also want to keep it simple. So as we lay the foundation, we thought about how do we mitigate risk? So to mitigate risk, we're saying, let's start with day forward. What does day forward mean? It means any new business from the day we go live, we want to put it for that specific business class. We want that to go into the new debt manager system. Never go back into the old system. And that's our day forward strategy. So new certifications that you will have for the first rollout, and we're going to talk about who that is. We will put them in the new system. Now we know there's legacy accounts still in Cubs. The legacy accounts will stay in Cubs. We want to confirm that the new system works with new certifications first, and that'll be our first rollout. The second stage of that will be, now that we know new certifications work in the new system, let's make sure we can take data out of Cubs, put it in the new system, and it works in the new system. That will be rollout 2. So for the same business class, we'll come back and bring and convert their legacy accounts into Debt Manager as part of rollout 2. And by the end of rollout 2, we now have everything for that business class. New certifications and converted legacy accounts from Cubs. And at that point, we now have a single business class functioning operational in the new system. And we've only touched one business class. So the other business classes, which are many of you guys, we will have high confidence and proven that those common workflows and interfaces and letters and reports actually function. And then it's a matter of future rollouts. What's unique to each business class is what will be built. Next slide. So when I talk about business class sequencing, what I mean there is this is where we spent time, a lot of hours, making sure that when we talk about risk-based ordering, we pick the right business class that fit what we're trying to accomplish. So to do that, we looked at risk and complexity to your business and risk and complexity to building the solution. We looked at the statutory alignment. We looked at the level of change and the impact of change and the opportunity for change across all business classes. We looked at what did it take to develop and configure your business class in the new Debt Manager solution. We looked at volume, technical complexity, functional complexity. We looked at the time it takes to deploy. And basically, we came out of there with a list of business classes. And then it was a matter of what makes sense. How do we place these pieces to make sure it fits to help meet some of the other objectives that we stated in the program? As a result of that, what came to the top was the State Client Services business class, or as we call it internally, we like acronyms, SCS. So what are state client services? It's a group of state agencies that require collection services, but they're similar in processing. So for this initial rollout one, we've identified inside of that state client services 34 state agencies. And those 34, just to give you an idea, these are not BWC, not taxation, not JFS, not Medicaid, not medical schools, and not universities, or not local governments. But there's a lot of other state agencies that are in this state client services group. And of the 34 that we identified, it's not even all of the state client services pool. It's a select pool that met some of this criteria that we want to start with in rollout one. Rollout two, and as we know, we will bring on the rest of state client services in rollout two. Next slide, please. Talk about our implementation approach. Adding on to that, this picture is meant to represent that buildup that I was speaking to. As I mentioned, we want to build the common workflows, interfaces, reports, and letters. And every rollout as we go, the common percent complete is being met. So as you see in rollout one, 38% of all workflows we need to build can be achieved with that group of state client services agencies in the first rollout. And that's new certifications only. When we add the other state client services teams and the converted accounts rollout two, we will have built and configured 59% of all the common workflows. And for rollout three, we have not named who those business classes number 2 and 3 are yet. We have our list, but we won't select them until we get better learnings from rollout one. We are confident we'll have built 80% of the common workflows. That in itself is risk-based because we have a lot more business classes that we haven't even started talking to or touched yet. And that's what our approach is. To the right, you will see the common workflows by listed, 80% by rollout three, 80% of interfaces by rollout three, 90% of total reports by rollout three, and 65% of our letters. And we think this is a great story. We think it's the best way to go about this. We're leveraging CNR software's expertise, and we're leveraging all the partners we have and our great leaders from Attorney General's office and building this approach. So this is the first start of rollout one, and this is the path we're traveling down. Next slide. I know this picture is hard to see, but I want to give you a snapshot of what's inside of rollout one. And this is following CNR Software's Debt Manager Lifecycle, or we call it DMLC. Basically, that's a methodology that one follows that's proven of all the different activities that need to occur in some sequence to configure the solution, test it, and implement it so we can deploy it for use. That's really all the DMLC is. The things I want to highlight are in the middle of the page, you'll see things called iteration 1 through 8. Iterations are defined as 4-week iterations where we focus all of our energy and time on a select number of workflows that will support state client services. And those workflows will be designed, configured in the product in that iteration. The next iteration, they will be tested. And you'll see on this chart, it says CNR SIT. CNR SIT means CNR Software's system testing. And then the next iteration after there, the Attorney General's office will test it before we all approve it and say it should be ready. So you see that staggered for 8 iterations going across the sheet. That's our process for confirming and validating the solution. And obviously, if things don't work, there's time in the iteration where the testing is occurring to make some corrective changes. The other thing I want to point out is you'll see regression testing along the journey. You'll see end-to-end testing, performance testing. Those are specific ways of validating that the system can perform. We got a lot of interfaces going on. Based upon the size and number of users are expected to touch the system. We have that built in our plan. Most interest to you is between 49 and 57, those weeks under testing. You see that big UAT? That's user acceptance testing. That's where definitely state client services representatives and our Attorney General office business subject matter experts will touch the system, and the goal is use it the way we do it today and confirm that all the other testing we did actually supports our business today. So we set that aside. We've got about 60 plus days in our plan for user acceptance testing. And then our go live is planned for late next summer to roll out the finished rollout 1. What's important about this view? Each rollout, and we're going to have multiple rollouts, will follow this DMC model. It may be different, but it's going to be similar. For example, based upon the number of workflows for another business class, we might need 10 iterations instead of 8. We may need 7 iterations instead of 8. But the basic flow and methodology for each rollout will be similar to what you're seeing here. This is difficult to see, and I don't expect you to be able to read it, but I do want to show you the people that do the work. Obviously, I get to speak, I get to talk about the program, and Herschel, and you heard from today, and Stephen Heaney. The 3 of us lead the program, and we support this for our sponsors, and Lucas Ward and Bill Cahill, Joe Rust. And we also have great support from the Attorney General's IT office, the CIO, Mark Edwards, and his team of Scott Heald, and Steve Heaney's on that team as well. We're actually doing oversight. The people that are really getting this done, you will see in the Herschel is in the light purple. Everything in light purple are the business members that are focused on functionality of the solution, meaning those workflows. Do they work? The business rules, those different capabilities you need. So that's led by Marissa Smith and Roy Robinson sharing a box for business transformation. And then I just want you to see some of the teams in there. There's a functional team led by business me's. There's a legal team, and there's an accounting team, and there's trainers, and there's compliance team, all inside that functional box. Obviously, we have compliance with IRS. We got compliance with a lot of different compliance organizations. We have the OCM team. We mentioned Deloitte. That's part of that purple box, the change agents and stakeholders, and indebted party reps. We have an operations support team. Who's going to support this when we go live in the first line of help and support to you? And we also have the UAT, or user acceptance test team. You will see members coming in and out of the user acceptance test team. So if you're in state client services, for example, some of your representatives will be added to that team. Or when we get to future rollouts, whichever business class you're in, that's a team that you will have some representatives representation in as we validate the solution. On the beige, Steve Heaney's IT transformation team. Rudy Rodriguez is leading that. He's also responsible for the whole overall implementation. But you'll see there's, we're showing you the AGO team, but implied is the CNR software team that you heard about earlier. But inside this box from the AGO's view, you'll see a development team that's partnered with CNR software. And everything there is, for us to be self-service or self-supportive, we need to learn the product now. There's a QA test team for quality assurance testing. This team is doing that system testing along each one of those iterations. And then we have the IT support teams that we all need: database, infrastructure, security. So this is the way the whole thing is structured to make this CARES program work. This is a view of one rollout. Again, some names will change for each rollout, but this is the model that we're following for implementing in the team approach. I know I threw a lot at you guys, but really I thought it was important to share as much as I could. And with that, I'm gonna turn this back to Herschel Elkins.
All right, thanks again, David. As I mentioned previously, our business transformation team is continually monitoring our communication strategy and adjusting where needed to best support the CARES implementation. As such, we're modifying our strategy slightly to support the implementation timeline and provide more effective communications throughout the rollout schedule. Specifically, we've created two strategies. The first, to engage stakeholders who are approaching a CARES go live within 12 to 18 months, as David just demonstrated. In fact, we've already reached out to the state client services client agencies who will have an opportunity to go live July 2022. This group will be engaged on a more frequent cadence and will have the opportunity to participate in readiness workshops, low-level design sessions around client interfaces and reporting, and also participate in acceptance testing. Prior to go live, the group will be invited to participate in training events and provided with the training materials. Lastly, the group will receive readiness and pulse surveys throughout the implementation cycle to ensure that the CARES program team is meeting their needs. Our long-term communication strategy is designed to keep audiences not approaching a go live within 12 to 18 months informed about the program status. These groups will be engaged on a regular but less frequent basis than the go live group through written communications and activities that include pulse surveys and continuation of our existing meetings and updates that we currently have today. In addition to the direct communications I've just covered, we want to ensure that you have an opportunity to engage with us in different ways. As we've mentioned previously, the CARES mailbox at agocares@ohioago.gov is available for you to send any questions, comments, concerns that you might have about the implementation or the CARES program itself. We've also recently established the CARES program website, which provides many resources around the implementation timeline and will provide additional resources as the program continues. In addition, continued stakeholder contacts as we move through the program. You have established contacts and relationships with folks here in the AGO's office. To continue to use those avenues to express any concerns or ask questions regarding the CARES program. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lucas Ward.
Hello there, guys. The long and the short of all of this is that we know this is the right thing to do to best serve the state of Ohio, the citizens of the state of Ohio, and best serve our clients. Investment of time, attention, resources, and we are committed to doing that. Obviously, we're taking lead on that, but we do need your help too. We need your cooperation. We need your assistance to get this done and deliver this the right way and make sure that we are modernizing how we do business and can best serve a good portion of you, our clients. With that, I would like to go ahead and close this portion of the presentation. We're going to take a 5-minute break here, and those of you that aren't clients, you are free to, you're excused. We are going to do breakouts with those particular universes in the near future here. So the collection staff and the external collection vendors, we will have sessions for you coming up, but this will be more client focused. That said, if you are interested in what we have to say, you want to be part of this, certainly you don't have to leave. Nothing that we're going to say here is private, but it will be more client focused. So with that, we'll close this portion of the session, give you guys 5 minutes, and then we will talk to our client partners in the near future. Thank you.
Right. Well, good afternoon. Thanks for continuing to stay with us for the client breakout session. As we did previously, just want to take a moment to talk about our objectives for this meeting. We want to provide you as clients with an in-depth look at Rollout 1, specifically taking a look at the work that David Montgomery mentioned that's going to be taking place in each of the iterations within Rollout 1. We also want to provide you with specific dates or timeframes that will be engaging with you as a client to participate in some of those low-level design sessions that we discussed earlier. And we also want to discuss the benefits of standardization as we move into this new world with Debt Manager. Again, for some logistics, this breakout is being recorded and will be provided on the AGO Cares website later on. In addition, while we do have the QA panel available to you, we ask that you would send any questions that you might have regarding the program or any information that we presented today to the AGO Cares mailbox at agocares@ohioago.gov. Additionally, as mentioned before by Lucas, there will be additional breakout sessions at a later date for the collections enforcement staff and our special counsel and third-party vendors. As I mentioned, our agenda today, we will cover Rollout 1 for state client services. We'll take a deep dive into the timeline and in our iteration plan. Lucas is going to discuss the interface standardization and our data quality. I'll touch a little bit more on the communication strategy, and then we will close for the day. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lucas Ward.
Hello there. Just want to once again reiterate, we are committed to the success of the CARES program. This will benefit all Ohioans. This will benefit our clients. This will benefit our external partners and our staff. But the issue is we can't do it alone. So we are asking for your partnership, asking for your assistance and flexibility in achieving the success together. What we really want is your engagement. We're going to be having design sessions. We want you there. Your input matters. So really want to kind of bring you into the fold here and make sure that you guys are engaged and involved, and we're doing what you want us to do with respect to this program. So with that, I will turn it back over to David to give us the status of the first rollout. David?
Thank you, Lucas. So I'm going to allow my team to give you a very good understanding of what's happening in Rollout 1. But beforehand, I want to just remind you who they are and where they fit on this chart that I was speaking to. And specifically in the purple, you'll hear from Marissa Smith today, our business transformation lead. And again, she represents the business and functional teams. And I do want to point out some of the key people. Functional team member Andrew Littlefield's leading the state client services functionality portion of this program. We have Trish Lasik, who's leading legal, Jim Cito, who's leading the accounting portion, and Corey Steinmetz, who's leading compliance. You also have on the UAT test team, Angela Devana is leading the testing for user acceptance, and David Bowles and Ken Simmons are leading the operational support portion. On the right, you'll hear from Rudy Rodriguez next, the overall project manager for Rollout 1. And he has a team of development, and the two key guys leading that is Tim Green and Bob Otterberg. The quality assurance testing team that's doing the system testing is, we have the lead and we have many people on the team. And we also have in conversion team, we have Randy Jordan and Bill Miller. You won't hear from all of them, but I thought it was important that you understood who these leaders are that are making this happen. So with that, I will turn this over to Rudy Rodriguez about timeline, iteration plan, and his team.
Thank you, David. My name is Rudy Rodriguez, and I wanted to start off with showing you the slide that you previously seen. And in highlighted, the orange block is iteration 1 through 8, the UAT process, and obviously go live. Like with all projects, people are always wondering, well, what's in it for me, or when do I get started on it? So I wanted to make sure that you guys had understanding of when would you be needed. So these are the areas that you're going to be needed the most, and you're going to be the most valuable. Next slide, please. During the iteration, you could think of iteration as the 4-week design windows where we go out, we do some design on low-level designs, we meet daily, we're going through and coming out with the product after, or I don't want to say a full product, but a product of functionality after the end of the 4 weeks. Some functionality may take a little longer, but for the most part, in every iteration, we're going to have some work completed. Each iteration is going to have different topic areas, workflows, integrations, and other stuff, letters and reports. We're also going to be doing some interfaces during those times as well, so that you'll have people reaching out to your interface groups with the clients that we directly connect to, because we'll have to make some process changes there as well. Next slide. So we're in rollout 1. This gives you a picture of everything that we're going to currently be working on in each iteration. So right now we're kind of doing the base configurations. We're working on some integrations. We are also working on our development and testing implementations or systems. Next week, we start our iteration 1, and we will actually have some opportunities during iteration 1 where we need to bring in the clients to review and work through some of the designs that we have. We also have some integrations that we'll be working on, that we'll be working with specific IT professionals to work on making sure that the integration with the new system is going to be complete. And we're also going to be working on some letters and reports. And this gives you a nice picture of every iteration of what's going to be worked on. It's at a high level. Everything, you know, we're set up to be really flexible. If something takes a little longer than expected, we can adjust to it. But this is a very good picture of it. When we reach out to people, most times it's going to be either the transformation team, and then when it comes to the IT professionals, it'll probably be myself and Marissa, and I'll let Marissa talk on the last slide.
Thanks, Rudy. Good afternoon, everyone. So I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper into kind of what's going to be needed from you all, our client partners. As a project team, we recognize that collaboration is the key to success. So we're working really hard to ensure your valuable input is included during our solution design sessions. The Attorney General's office has identified initial agency points of contact for our first rollout. However, if you're interested in participating in those design sessions, please feel free to email that AGO Cares email box. We'd love to have you involved. Our first engagement with the client agencies will take place the week of August 2nd, and we will be discussing the new certification file at that time. This will then be followed up by a series of sessions to discuss reporting, which will begin in the latter half of September and continue all the way into January. We will be sure that we provide you with at least 2 weeks notice, though, for any meetings that we scheduled. And once those development iterations are complete, we will then begin the user acceptance testing and training in May of 2022. So we'll be looking for volunteers to assist with testing again. So if you're interested, please email the AGO Cares email box and we'll be sure to get in contact with you. Our training group will then work with the agency points of contact to ensure we're able to get everyone trained on the new application prior to go live. I'm now going to hand the presentation back over to Lucas. Thanks.
Greetings. So I want to talk to you guys about interface standardization and data quality. And these are two major issues we deal with in the CUBS system. The CUBS system, just so everyone understands, I mean, it was rolled out in 1996, and the way we sort of evolved it was probably, you know, a do not tale of IT, but we, every single time we brought on a new client, brought on a new interface, we customized the system to go to that particular partner client interface, and as a result, it's inconsistent. The interfaces do not operate as a team. So this is something we really want to address here with the new system. We want to make sure that we don't have these unique file formats. We want to make sure that we have a system where everything works consistently and uniformly. And then we can also rely, for example, on certain client information. If everything's uniform, how we're receiving it, we're reporting it the same way, it's treated the same way, we can use that information possibly to assist in the collections on behalf of other clients too. So we really want to create a universe here where we're able to utilize the information as much as possible, no matter who's providing it, skip trace vendor, clients, whatever. So that's kind of our goal here. And a large part of why we're doing that is not only the benefits it offers to the collections process, but also the ability to upgrade the system. You're probably not aware of this, but CUBS is the CUBS version we're using now is 2007. We have not been able to successfully upgrade CUBS since 2007 because of all the customization that's built into CUBS. So we feel if we get these standardized interfaces that we're not going to have that problem with Debt Manager. We'll be able to constantly be able to upgrade it and take advantage of new features offered by the manufacturers. Next slide, please. So where does this start? So it actually starts right now. Even in CUBS, there are two areas that we have identified that you can assist us right now with. There are two fields that are in our standard layout. They are our CRN, which is the client reference number, and our DRL, the data reference line. So these are, the CRN is supposed to be how you as the client identify the debt in your system. The DRL, on the other hand, is supposed to be how you, the client, identify the debtor in your system. So we're asking you to please provide us these numbers. And if you can, if you have it, one of the best possible DRLs you can provide is the Social Security number. And there's a variety of reasons for that. First off, it allows us to absolutely identify that particular individual, or I should say the FANE too, if it's a corporation. But the tax ID allows us to 100% not only identify that individual or that corporate entity, but also allows it, again, to cross-check against what else we've got in the system for that particular FANE or tax ID. I mean, those are just very commonly used numbers, as you all understand. The other advantage, particularly in the Social Security number space, is if you provide it to us, we can avail that particular debt of our offset programs. We offer a variety of offset programs. Hopefully you're aware of this, but we offset not only income tax refunds, but we also offset lottery awards. We, in the very near future, based on the budget bill that recently passed, we'll be offsetting casino winnings. And we're still holding out hope that we will be able to offset sports gambling winnings as well. So we have a variety of pockets of offsets. Oh, and unclaimed funds. I just remembered we also do unclaimed funds. So there's just a variety of areas that we can offset if we can get those numbers. So this is a plea, I'll be honest, for if you can please give us the way you identify the number in your system, the client reference number, and the way that you identify the debtor themselves. And if you have it, the best case scenario would be to give us a Social Security number or FANE. But if not, whatever you have. And again, what we want to look to doing eventually, and the new system is cross-packeting amongst our SES group. So all of the state client services group, We're currently looking at the possibility of combining all of those accounts with a single consumer packet using those DRLs and CRNs, and then we can be able to pass the information back and forth and allow us to successfully collect on the whole debtor rather than piecemeal on accounts, which is essentially where we are with Cubs currently. So just wanted to make a plea to get us those pieces of information. And again, you can do that right now. We can roll that into Cubs right now. So it's something that you do not have to wait for the new system to do. With that, I will pass it to Herschel to talk about communications.
All right, thanks again, Lucas. Just wanted to take a minute and do a little bit of a deep dive into the go live readiness strategy and the activities around our communications with you, the clients that are in rollout 1. I talked a little bit about the readiness workshops, and we just wanted to explain those readiness workshops provide an opportunity for the program team on the AGO side to meet with you individually to discuss any upcoming activities and share program updates. It's really an opportunity for us to gather positive and constructive feedback from you leading up to the go live event. As we've mentioned, Marissa talked about low-level design sessions, provided you with some of those dates and timeframes that we're going to be engaging with you all. We need your input as we design the system. It's a great opportunity for you to get engaged with us and ensure that what we provide to you is something that works for you as well, rather than just working for us. The readiness and pulse surveys that will be distributed leading up to each rollout. We'll distribute those on a regular cadence. Those are really designed to, again, provide another way for you to provide us with feedback on how we're doing, what information you need, how successful we're being in implementing the program. And then last, and of course not least, is the training and the training materials that we will provide as we get closer to that go live event. We will be providing that about a month ahead of go live so that it's fresh in your mind of the changes that are being made and how we need to progress. In addition, as I mentioned previously in the kickoff, we want to make sure that you are aware of the other resources available to you, such as the CARES program website. You can go to the AGO's website and go to Collections Enforcement, and you'll see a CARES website link right there, which will provide you detailed information on the program itself. Our CARES mailbox at agocares@ohioago.gov is always available and monitored, so that any feedback that you feel is necessary to provide, you can send it there, and we'll be glad to respond to it from that email account. And then, as I mentioned previously, continued efforts that we have and engagements we have with our stakeholders, continually meeting with many of you on a regular basis. Andrew Littlefield meets with and talks with many of you on a very frequent basis. So continue to utilize those resources as well as we move through the implementation to gain any additional knowledge that you have or that you need. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Lucas to wrap up for today.
Yep, thank you, Herschel. So just again, as Herschel pointed out, we're going to be doing a lot of outreach here. We've come up with our short list, a subcategory of our state client service clients, and we will be doing a lot of outreach to those. But I want to make sure you all understand that this is open to all of you. I mean, we certainly have a lot of room and would encourage volunteers. So if you are interested, please don't wait for us. Please reach out. You all have that CARES email box. Hit us up, let us know. We will get you involved. We'll make sure your voice is heard, and we will get this thing right. So thank you all. Really appreciate taking your time this afternoon to walk through where we're at with this program, and certainly hope to continue this conversation going forward. Thanks, everybody.